Welcome to Wrexham Property TV, and this is June's edition. And coming up on this month's episode,
So last time we spoke, interest rates were settling a little, the Bank of England rate still going up. As expected, the Bank of England rate did go up again with the last meeting. However, this hasn't affected interest rates too much on the mortgage side, although they are twitching slightly on the upwards direction for the fixed rate. Just to give you an idea of top of the pops of mortgage rates at the moment, if we were looking at a 75% loan to value band, you're looking around about the 4.23 interest rates for a fixed rate for 5 years for remortgage. If you're looking for house purchase, it's ever so slightly lower at 4.6. If we move up a little bit on the loan to value bands up to 85%, we're looking at slightly higher rates, but we're looking around about the 4.4 mark. And that's with a 5-year fixed rate. All of the fixed rates at the moment are still sourcing cheaper if we go for a 5-year deal rather than a 2-year fix. So we're still a little bit topsy-turvy on the market. Hot off the press in the last couple of weeks, we have had a new mortgage product from the Skipton Building Society, who are now offering 100% mortgages. The product does carry one or two caveats. The mortgage payment does need to be the same as your rental payment or lower in order to meet sustained affordability. You do need to be a first-time buyer, and you can put down up to 5% deposit on the product should you wish to reduce down the mortgage payment for yourself. It is new to market. They'll see how it goes, and then we'll go from there to see which providers will join the party essentially. But it's great news for first-time buyers. Speaking to a mortgage broker is essentially important, especially if you've always done it yourself. The reason I say this is we do have the knowledge of the market and the knowledge of the lenders. Their rules and regulations are changing on a weekly basis. What a lot of people are frightened of currently is they think that they will be remortgaged out of their own home and they can't afford it. Now, each lender has a different income multiple, so you might find some of the lenders on the lower end of the scale may lend you £50,000 or £60,000 less than other lenders that you may not have heard of. So sitting down with a broker would mean that you still get access to decent rates and you don't have to sit on the standard variable rate or panic that you're going to have to sell your property. That is the benefit of a mortgage broker. We see that every day. We've got differences in income multiples from 3.7 with some lenders up to 5.5 with other lenders. That gives you such a huge stretch, both on a remortgage and house purchase. So you might be able to get a second on the second rung of your house purchase rather than the first one. So it is essential that you sit down with a mortgage broker, and if you would like any help or advice, give us a call on the number below. Thanks for your time today.
the most commonly asked question of me by people who don't necessarily reside in Wrexham: what impact has the new ownership of Wrexham Football Club had on property prices in Wrexham? Well, it's a bit too early to say. It won't be an immediate impact. However, if you're looking at, say, commercial property and the changes that have occurred, there's the beginnings of quite encouraging signs of new business coming in. The Old Squire York has been, is going to be transformed into a Hickory's restaurant. And of course, behind Sainsbury's, Marks and Spencer's are going to have a store on that particular retail park. The building that we have on King Street, Elwee House, I mean, for 2 years, it was only partly occupied by tenants. And over the last couple of months, it's now become completely full. Very early days to be absolutely certain, but there may be some green shoots due to the overwhelmingly feel-good factor that's come out of everything that's happened with the football club at the end of of last season. Going to residential sales, the average price paid over the last 12 months in Wrexham has now increased to £193,618. That is an increase of 8% over the last 12 months. It's a 29% change over the last 5 years. The total value of the sales in Wrexham over the last year was £321 million. The average price paid for a detached properties, £313,000. On semi-detached properties, £177,000. And the average for terrace properties was £139,000. Flats came in as an average of £106,000. The average number of transactions in Wrexham over the last 12 months, there's been a drop of 31.9%. Moving on to the rental market, the average rental price in Wrexham now is £694. That's a 5% annual increase on last year. Average price of flats, it's £588 per calendar month. Houses is £772 per month, with 36 being the average age of a tenant in Wrexham. So that's the property update. Please let me know if you either agree or have different points of view. Always interested to hear what your reaction is. The biggest news possibly in the property industry over the last 4 weeks or so has been the sale of Purple Bricks. This is a company that was founded in 2012 with their vision being they were going to create a company that would transform the property industry. In my opinion, they were never estate agents. What they were advertising agents. They were an advertising agency. It's also fair and factual to say they enjoyed a rather checkered history in terms of their relationship with both clients and also with the Advertising Standards Authority. The first 5 years, they actually had over 12 complaints that were upheld by the Advertising Standards Agency. And in 2017, they were subject of a BBC watchdog investigation where the allegations were they were being short on information to potential clients, particularly when they were paying for their services. Purple Bricks' central offering was always a case of a low cost number, what appeared to be a low cost number, but you had to pay that in advance. So it wasn't a case of like traditional estate agents, you don't have to pay them unless they actually sell your property. They were asking for a lower number, which you had to pay in advance of any sale. So there's always a risk that your property wasn't going to be sold, but you'd already paid the agency. When people have told Purple Bricks in their homes, listen, I haven't got that money to give you, they then offered a deal whereby you don't have to pay me now, but you enter into an agreement with us and then you can pay us later. What they should have also informed people at that point was that was entering into an agreement with a separate financial company, and in fact it was something that would hit your credit file. So essentially, Purple Bricks' central business model was about that you pay them a sum of money, they would advertise, get your property to be advertised on some property web portals, but then that you would take care of everything that went on afterwards. Or if you wanted them to still continue doing bits and pieces for you after the advertising, it would cost you more money again. But they were always shy of saying how many properties they actually sold. Only mentioning how many properties they were instructed on gave a top line figure in terms of what their income was. But in 2018, a housing analyst called Anthony Codling undertook some research, and he found it can't be more than 50% of the properties that Purple Bricks were instructed on they actually sold, which at the time was at odds with what Michael Bruce, the then chief executive of Purple Bricks was claiming when he was saying it was 88% of each of their properties that had been instructed were actually sold. And now, according to newspaper reports, only £5.5 million left in their cash reserves. Hence the reason why Strike, another online property company, bought them for £1. I do think that current property owners with Purple Bricks do need to get in touch maybe with some traditional estate agents. And, in Wrexham, there are 2 or 3 decent ones, just to get some advice in terms of what is possible to do and how they can safeguard their position in this very uncertain position they see themselves in. As a landlord, one of the most important things for you is the quality of tenant that's going into your property. Now, Belvoir Wrexham, we take that equally as importantly as you do. And in order to be able to describe to you exactly the lengths we go to examine the credit, history and referencing of all our tenants, I'm here today at Doddleston House in order to have a chat with Joe Dickens from Let's Alliance.
As a tenant referencing business, I think it's really important to understand that what we do and what we offer to our letting agent customers is made up really of 3 key elements. And that's data, that's technology, and that's people. Our people are very, very highly skilled in tenant referencing. We have centres of excellence who focus on things like high risk, fraudulent activity, people coming from overseas. For us, the reference is all about being able to look at the ability for that person to be recommended for a tenancy at a given point in time. We'll perform a credit profile check on the individual. We will verify their earnings. We use technology like open banking to be able to see transactions in and out of someone's bank account in real time. That's not open to fraud risk, that's factual information. We will also do things like take bank statements and pay slips. We'll also look at pieces of technology that we have available to do things like check URLs and email domains that references are coming from, and that's just the verifying the earnings part. We will also check to see whether somebody has been a good tenant in their current property. So we might speak to their existing landlord or letting agent. We might again look for evidence that they've been paying their rent for a consistent period of time. We can look at what we call our suspicious applicants log. So suspicious applications, we can flag if we've got, say, an individual who we referenced 5 years ago who fell into a rent guarantee claim, and we've since learnt that their landlord's reference was fraudulent. Pieces of information like that will land on our suspicious applicants database, and we will then check all of that data that we hold against every new application that we process. Through the partnership that we have between Belvoir Wrexham and Let Alliance, we can help each other to massively reduce the risk of fraud that is placed on a landlord, and that is about working in partnership. So whilst we reference these people to the best of our ability, it is only a snapshot in time, and it is about, we don't meet these people. And that's where I think it's really important, you use a reputable letting agency, they will meet these people, they will do their own pre-vetting checks. We're checking all these lines of data, we're employing this technology, we have team members who are specifically trained on the tenant referencing process. We'll stand by our reference and we will actually guarantee the rent off the back of it. So that's where, as a landlord then, to be really, really protected and to reduce the risk even further, they can take out the Belvoir guarantee and make sure that in the unfortunate event things do go wrong, they will still receive the rent.
That's all for Wrexham Property TV on the June edition. Please don't forget to post any comments you have. They are all read and looked at, and I look forward to seeing you in July.